We are live. We're
Yes,
live.
we are.
We're live. And this is the pep programming session together with Joseph. We are talking about the change password feature. Everybody is welcome. And yeah, so maybe Joseph, you want to share a screen?
I am sharing my screen already.
You are sharing a screen. That's right.
Change password. Oh, check. Sorry. To check out. So we'll start with the backend, right? Finish
Now,
up
can we
some.
fast forward it? I would always do git pull. And I would also run the tests.
Wait, how come my branch is okay?
Someone merged the master.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had asked a question on GitHub. I don't know if it's here somewhere. About in my pull request. So there is this. I changed. Is it this? Yeah, I think it's in the mutation. Yeah. So this one, it had a syntax error in the decoder where it didn't have, as you can see, the parentheses to catch the error and then do whatever you want. So when I pulled master and then I was trying to run the test, it would say syntax error for this.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so how was it merged in master? I thought maybe Circle CI, the build process, or Travis would catch that.
So it was giving syntax error, and you're saying like before it was not giving the syntax error.
Yeah, so I pulled master, so it was like this with master. Catch without this parentheses. A catch without parentheses, like a function, it's syntax error because there you are not catching anything here. You're just saying catch, and the syntax is you add this parentheses and then you add your error, and then you do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's why I asked Greg, and even him himself, he doesn't know. I think. Anyway.
All right, and I don't know. Okay, let's go to the change password feature. So what is the current status? What does the test say? Can you say yarn run?
All right. Yeah, NVM. Let me make sure I'm using Node 8. Yep. Yarn.
You can also use yarn 10, Node 10 if you want. And run test.
Oh, okay.
So I'm using yarn. I'm using Node 10, I think.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know why sometimes it does that.
So this is when the backend, when the node server doesn't start, then you get this error. So if you check out package.json, you see that we are doing slightly complicated things, that we run certain processes in parallel. So we start two services. We have the backend, which we want to test, and we have another backend running, which is not authenticated, which we use to create the seeds. And if one of those servers doesn't start or exits, then it's failing with this message. Yeah, and the error message is just swallowed because on line number 17, you see that we are piping everything to device null.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you want to know what's going on, you could, for example, remove it. Okay, but let's use another terminal. People who use the Visual Studio terminal never want to add more terminals or create more terminals. I have the feeling.
I do.
There we go.
Yeah, as you can see,
And
I have put,
this
this is what I was talking about. Yeah.
That's interesting, and yeah, then you can fix it. This is the reason why the server wasn't starting.
Yeah, so it had this when I pulled master. As you can see, it's a syntax error, but it's merged in master, so I don't know how that now.
Yeah, maybe it's because of different node versions. This could be a case. So if you use, did you have the branch pushed to master? Right? No, I can check if it's the same error on my machine.
Yeah.
Right. So we are on the back end. Check out 212. Is it?
Yep. 212, change password.
So what version am I on? It's Node 10. And now I say run def. You get a syntax error. And you get another error. Yeah, that's because that's sometimes happening if people merge in master. So, okay. Open another terminal.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking, like, how come Travis CI didn't see that failure when he tried to run the test? And
It did. I'm very sure that it did.
oh, okay.
So backends, and it's broken, as you can see. So someone merged master, but so Lala merged master, and she apparently did not know that we removed the resource. So we have to do it manually. So this is an error. Oops, we're on file. We go to resource, and there's now a duplicate mutation. Oh, there's no duplicate mutation. Like, why? Yeah, okay, cool. Our master is broken. Our NASA is not broken. But how come? Like, someone merged a pull request by Greg and the wrong. No, motorized schema is still open. Okay, January 2019. Source, resolvers, report. It's just having the ID and the description. No resource. I don't understand why we have this line here. It should be ID. I don't understand why we have merged this in here. Should not be the case at all.
Well, what's wrong with the backend? When you try to start it, you're getting what error?
This whole line here is wrong. It should not be like that. The signature is wrong, and I have no other explanation except that it was a failure in the merge. We can actually have a look. Just scroll down to your latest commit. Or maybe this commit here. And we say git diff head. This commit to head source schema GraphQL. And there you can see, yeah, this is the error here. So this should not be the case, and this is the correct way of doing it. All right?
Okay.
And now we also have more tests. we should not see any report-related tests failing. Oh, damn it. Okay, so here we have reports spec. And you can see that we don't pass, yeah, there we go. So you have mutation ID and report ID. And there's no resource here. And therefore, apparently someone broke the test. Yeah, this is fine. This is just some remaining data. Okay, so the only test which is failing was the very first one, and this is because we still had some old data in the development test database are not separated right now, which is a problem. You were very welcome to fix this problem if you want, Joseph. All right, so let's get this fixed first. So fixed merge error. And then we CC Lala, who accidentally did the merge. That's her name, is it? No. And this is add change password mutation. Lulalabi. Okay, she's using different handles all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, Jan, run fifth. Okay, so actually test should also be working, right? And now I wonder myself, is the pull request not okay then? Like, what did you change? Okay, so you had some things here. What I would always do is resolve. No, this is not really fixing it for the front end. You just added the backend part. But this is a requirement, but it's not all of it. And what I would always do is I would always add the title, especially if it's from lowercase. I would say maybe add change password in the backend. Maybe like that. And make a capital letter.
Yeah.
And then we have a couple of things here. Okay, this is something I've seen. All right. Yeah. So what's going on here? This is waits. Yes, great.
Yeah.
So we have the result, and we don't need that anymore. And I hope you do close the session. Yes, you do. And then we get out of the result, we get the current user, and you do it here. Nice.
Yeah.
And then you say if current user, why is this in? Ah, yeah, because of that. So if the current user is this, then you want to decrypt and compare the password. Then you delete the password and then you encode the user. That's fine. And if that's not the case, so if there's either no user or the password doesn't match, you throw the authentication error. That's perfect. Very good.
Yeah.
Then you have changed password. You omit the first parameter.
Yeah.
because you don't need it. Yes, that's right. So you have old password, new password. And then you match the user, which is the current user.
Yeah, I get the email from the current user.
But you have the email already. Oh, you want the password? Yes, you want.
Yeah, actually, I would just need the password. Don't need the. Yeah, but then. Yeah.
Old user. Old password is not correct. If it's the same. But what is current user password? Current user is the password from the database.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, before I change, I make sure it's not the old password you want to change back to.
And then you hash it.
Yeah.
This looks very good. But why do we return the encoded? So this.
We returned the token. I just thought it would be better to return it because it's a new token now. Because if they try to create a post again with an old token, then the user would be invalid.
Yeah, but that doesn't encode it in the session. So or the context. So the current user comes from the context. Where is it? Yes. So this whole thing here is the context. It has our database driver and, for example, also the current user. Yeah. This whole thing is called the context.
Mm-hmm.
And in our server, we ensure that the user is set. So we say await decode. So that's where we decode the user. And the encoded user is created if you log in. So you go to resolvers and you have user management, and I think that's the only place where we even use decode. Oh. So where do we use decode? This is where we use decode.
So yeah, the reason why, because if you're logged in,
this is where we use decode. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're encoding it, right? Actually, I was searching for the wrong thing. So we have a look where we use encode, and that makes sense. And we use encode here. Because when you log in, then we want to encode it. Yes, that's where we encode it. And the problem that I see here is this thing here. You want to return a token.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I want. Because if you use the other token that you have in the session, then nothing will work.
Okay. Cool. No, that's great. That's great. You're recoding. Yes. Perfect. Excellent. Nice. Yeah. And do we have to change anything?
Yeah, because in the front end now, maybe in the front end now we'll have to do something when we get when you log in. Where do we set the token for the front in the front end? Do we store it in the session?
Yes.
In the cookie.
I think so. I'm not quite sure myself, but it's fine. Expect any string. Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, and yesterday there was a mutation. I thought maybe it could be improved.
So I think this is a perfect pull request. There's nothing to complain about. Like, this is excellent. This is just, the only thing that I find strange is, why was that changed?
Yeah, so Greg gave me feedback to remove the image because it's coming from the back end, but then when I removed it, the test will fail because in the expectation, you say you expect a user to have, to be this way, and the image would change every time. So I put it back and I told him that it's not possible to remove that image
Yeah, yes.
in the test.
Because somewhere down here, you say current user, give me the current user and give me the avatar of the current user.
Yeah.
So in here, we say current user null, that's expected, but if the user is not null, there's the avatar. And we should see, yes. All right, good, perfect.
So there was a mutation that I had a problem with yesterday when you were pairing, and I thought I should ask you. Let me see if I can find it in the. Yeah, this one for that's auto-generated. Should we write our own query for custom mutation? Because this is not, I should say, scalable. Because when you ask for the user, the email for the user, since this is auto-generated, that's why you used EZone. It returns an array with emails field that are null for the other users and yours with now your email. Now that query is going through, like, I didn't understand why you would need this. Going to the database and looking at all the users' email and filtering only for the user that's requesting their own email.
Yeah, can we have, so Lala again merged master and immediately it's broken. So she's good in breaking builds. So now we have a linting error in the permission. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. Moderator is moderator, no. Hey. It was again a merge error. Okay. What do you say in English if you look closer? Just say look.
Attention.
Yeah.
Pay
Pay
attention.
attention. Merging master. Right. Good. Now, you said something about the permission middleware and the email, right?
Yeah, this one right here, the user, this one, forgetting user, yeah.
And so the question is why we do this?
Yeah, the reason, yeah, that middleware, that query for getting it's auto-generated because we looked everywhere for the query. The only queries that we have, custom queries, are like 3.
Yes.
Yeah, but this one was auto-generated, and I don't think it's efficient because it's looping through each and every user in the database and returning an array with object that has an email field and null for the user who are not for other users, and then another object with the email field with your own email.
Yeah.
So it's going through the whole database. So I was thinking that's not efficient.
Yeah, the good answer is not inefficient. We have, if you look closely, so we have our middleware, and the middleware has two top keys. It's like query and mutation, which is an object. And we can have additional middleware for types. And if we open the schema, then we can see that we, at some point, we, for example, have user arrays. Oh, user array, right? For example, friend, following, followed by, blacklisted, shouted by, okay. So we could, for example, user, that's silly, but, oh, why not? Have some feed data, and then we go to our server and we say user, or let's say current user email and followers, followed by email, right?
Yeah.
So I know current user. Okay, this is a query that returns a user.
Yeah.
If we have a user, then this will be called on email, right?
Yeah.
And no, actually more than that. So for every user, if in the result set there is a user, this middleware will be called on that object only. If it's a post, this will not be called. And we only call is my own and is my own if password or email are in the query set. So if I do this, we will never have is my own middleware called, and we can confirm by saying is my own. Okay.
Wait, then what we are arguing yesterday is wrong, because we thought that is my own is checking to see that you're only requesting your own email and password, because the query is auto-generated, so you don't get emails for other users.
Yeah, that's actually true, but it works in a different way. So now I'm authenticated. So I send authorization as a request and the JWT token. I get the JWT token if I log in.
Yep.
And I say current user name followed by name. and I get my name and my followers, which are empty, which is fine. And you can see we have never been calling is my own middleware. But that changes if I say email. And email is null, which is interesting. Which is absolutely interesting because I should have an email. I should definitely have an email. Like, why is current user not returning my email?
Which user did you log in as? The user at example.
I should see my own email.
Which user did you log in as?
Bob der Baumeister. Look at that. So this works. So when I try to get all my users, then I see email, my own email, moderator@example.org.
Yeah,
this user, then it's not there. Why? I know why. Because of that. Include ID is only in there. This is an error. And I think we can fix it. So this should not happen. This should not happen at all. Okay, how can we fix it?
Wait, what is the problem again?
Okay, so the problem is we say current user and we're expecting a user object because it's returning a user object. On every user object, I have name, email, and so on. And I can, for example, also query my own ID.
Yeah,
yeah. It will fail. And that's the error. Like if I remove ID, then I get this error. If I add ID, then everything is fine. And how come? That is because our auto-generated resolvers. Because if you don't request on the client, if you don't request this ID, it will not be available on the server either.
Yeah.
And this is a problem because this is a total mess. It is a total mess. It is like if we don't request ID, then parent ID will also be undefined. And this will not be the case, and therefore is my own will be false. What we could do in order to fix it is for is my own at least. It will not work for a password, is my own. We are not returning passwords anyway. It will be that we could simply compare email with the current user's email. And this will work for is my own. Here we go. If you remove ID, I still get the email. But if I do the same for all users, look at that. Yeah. Actually, this is all a piece of. So we create a test. Let's do it like what are you interested in, Joseph? Would you like to expose this bug and fix it, or should we work on the front end and implement the change password screen?
Yeah, this one I can do on my own because it's simple. I think I would need help for the front end.
All right.
Actually, that, yeah.
Then I would just create an issue.
Yeah.
And I'll assign it to you. Oops. How do I say that? need that. We don't need that. Just need that. So I'm logged in. Like, the problem is our permission middleware checks if the email of a user object belongs to the currently authenticated user. In my opinion, we should not compare the ID of parent and context user, but simply actually period. Because if the ID is not requested, we run into this error. To reproduce, I'll log in, post the following to the endpoint. Joseph, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Yes. So this is the fix. This is the error. The expected is that just remove the ID.
Should I? If you change per where use is my own only for the mail. Why it's currently also used for passwords, but we don't want to expose the password hash to anybody, not even the current user. Please ensure the password hash is not exposed if you remove that from permission layer or permission middleware. Makes sense? Yeah. Yep.
Actually, I can sign it not only if, but when. Make sure that you will remove it. And do the E here. Okay, submit new issue. Yeah, and that's because I can tell you why. Like, we already have the ID middleware on user. So if you query users, then we hack the resolve info object. So every resolver or every middleware has this signature here, and the resolvers have this signature here. So the same thing, but with the resolve callback. This is a callback anyways. If you use a middleware, then you would call the resolve callback with the arguments. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
What we do here is we basically hack the resolve info. The resolve info saves everything about the query. And we say that if we should go into the first field nodes, I think the first field node is the current user. Then we go to the selection set. The selection set is this one here. And then we go to the selections. The area of selection is each of them. Like if you say ID, email, followers, and so on. So in this case, we would have a selection area of 2. And then we just add another object here. And we say we want to add kind field, like as if we would add ID to it. And then name. The name is this one, and the ID is like the value. So in this case, it's the ID itself. All right. If you have arguments, you could have two things. You could, for example, say, I don't know, ID U4, like that. And then this would show up also in the resolve info, but it would not be in selections, but it would be in arguments, right? So selection set, then arguments. And then you would have not only kind name, value ID, you would also have an additional field here. You would have a value kind, and then whatever it is, for example, in this case, ID, and then the value U4. Right? So the resolve object or the resolve info object is a very complicated piece of GraphQL, a Parser or something. And we just pretend as if the user was asking for the ID here. Right? And we do it only if we query the user. But in order to do the same thing for current user, we would have to add current user. So this would be a way of doing it. Right? So this would be also a fix, but it will only fix the current user query. In order to fix it once and for all, instead of comparing the ID, which we will not have, right now it's comparing the ID. So if the user didn't request the ID, the user doesn't have it, the ID will be undefined. Instead of comparing, oh, no, this is the parent. So this is a returned object. So this
What's that parent? That's the returned one from the database. The parent is the user, but the user in the database.
In that case, so if we go to permissions middleware, the first time it will be query and then user. So this will go first because we query. Basically, it will be current. Yeah, this one here. This will go first. And then the parent will be undefined. Then we have the database call. The database will have some return value. And then we iterate through every item in the result. So in this case, we have just one result. We have one user. And therefore, we're calling user once. But if we have others like the user query, basically you can also see it here. So it's a type, but it's also a query. This is the query. And it's returning an array of user. And then we would call the user email its own middleware for each user. Then the parent will have the user object. I demonstrate it by adding a log output is my own, and doing the user query. So how many times do you think we will have is my own now?
How many times?
You
As
don't
many times as how many users we have in the database?
Yes, exactly. Oh, why? Huh? Oh, yeah, because we didn't request email. Okay, but now we'll have it. One,
Not
two,
authorized.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have, I think we have 70 users here.
And ask for the count.
Yeah, we have one user where it is allowed, and we have 6 authorization errors. That makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll create this issue, and I will assign it to you if that's okay for you. Right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool. Now let's do the front-end part. We skip that for now, and we'll do the front-end part. And I think your pull request should be green by now. No. Why? Rename the catch param. So this was you, Joseph. You pushed it.
Yeah, I changed that because I was trying to run the test and I was getting the catch error.
Yeah, but I think that's because of an outdated version of Node. So tests are all passing, but lint.
Oh, the lint.
Yeah, expected spaces after catch. Actually, I think I can revert it. Like I would remove that commit because this one also was already green, and we can merge it immediately.
Okay.
I think this is not necessary. This is because you have an outdated Node version, and you should use Node 10. So what I'm going now is lpull. There's your commit, and I will reset to this commit. And I am yes. So it's telling me your branch is behind origin 212 by 1 commit and can be fast forwarded. That's not what we do right now. Instead, I will push to origin 212 and do a force push, and that will override the branch. Boom. Now this commit is deleted. And the branch is green. And before anything happens, I think I will merge this immediately because I'm just annoyed by the breaking builds. It will be green for sure.
Okay. Did you squash and merge or?
No, I didn't do squash.
You don't squash and merge?
No.
Okay.
All right, so now I can check out master. And we want to do the front end, right? yarn dev and yarn, what is it? Not master. Okay, but was this helpful, Joseph?
Very helpful. I even you remember the other pairing session we had with you, and then you took me through the GraphQL where I didn't know like the Cypher stuff, and yeah, and after that, I was now I feel confident. Even I was explaining to Matt even in the other session on how the mutations and how to test the mutation and stuff. Yeah, so even there was a book, I don't know which book I read that having a session with someone who knows how to use a tool, even if it's just for 1 hour, it's worth 6 months of you learning on your own or reading the documentation about.
Yeah, but also for me, it's sometimes taking time to get my head around GraphQL. I still didn't understand everything, I have to say.
Yeah.
So also, even if I, dedicated my time to it already, it's also for me, it's sometimes very time consuming to understand everything. Okay, so we would like to go to settings and security, and we want to see the password component there. And it's not there, and therefore we're creating a password component, I would say. And the password, what would be the responsibility of the password component?
The password component, the responsibility is to get the inputs from the pass. It will have a form, an inputs, or maybe, and then when you type, we get the password, a new password and the old password, and then we create a GraphQL Apollo client in front, and then we add a mutation, the same that we have for the backend that we're using on the playground there to test if you can change the password and stuff, and then post that to the backend.
Right. So I would say we should have 3 input fields, and the 2 last input fields is the new password and the new password confirmation field.
Yeah.
Both input fields should check if they both match. And otherwise, it should have a submit button, and this submit button should be disabled if we have those 2 fields.
Yeah.
And it should also make a warning. It should also be disabled if those 3 input fields don't have a value. It should send a backend request if I click on submit. And if I do have the token, it should automatically change the token that I'm using for authenticating. Right? So the token that's sent to the backend should change. That's, I would say, the responsibility of this component. Right, so let's create a component. How shall we call it? Password? Change password component? Or security?
Just change password would be great.
Change password component, I would say.
Yeah.
Shall we put it on the top level? Didn't really know. Well, let's keep it on the top level. It's fine. What we are also going to do is we should create a change password test. Spec.js, right? And we put both next to each other. And I think the easiest, the smallest possible thing is having this template. And in the change password spec, I do have to admit I have to check out the for like I'm copy pasting now. Check out disable posts, components. Oh. Right. Now I have a couple of components which are currently in the other branch. And from there, I'm basically copy pasting everything, put into the spec file. And for now, we just use mount, mount. Don't need the disable modal, and instead we are importing change password from the file with the same name. A view, and we need the style guide. And we say local view, create local view, use style guide, same thing. And here we say, instead of disable modal, we want to test change password for this file. And this is there, there, and there. And this is fine. So we say do. Now it has been changed. And we probably don't need all of that, except maybe Apollo. And we shallow mount this props.
Yeah, even props. We don't need props actually.
That. Do we need the store? I don't think so. Maybe later. Actually, yes, I think we need the store because we want to store it in auth, right? Set token. Good. Oh, I think the rest is pretty much so I would say the first thing it should do is it renders. Then if I then I would say describe submit button. It is disabled, but if given or when so I'm saying now if the user enters some like passwords, the fills in something like that. Maybe it's a little bit too long. Oh, there.
Yeah, user fills in old password, new password. Wait, user fills in old password, new password, and password confirmation. Yeah, that's
Let's run this. Let's run this first. Password submit button. All password filled in. Very interesting. Yeah, so match. Okay, if it a match, it's enabled. Would you put this on a different level? Like if the submit button is disabled or not, would you put this on a different scope, Joseph?
Well, with the testing now, when you submit now,
You would put it in the same scope.
when you click, can you hear me? Am I?
Like if I click on the submit button and now like it's matching and I tested it's enabled, and I was thinking, shall I create a new scope?
No, I think it's okay, because now it has matched, and now the button is enabled. Now it's just about submitting it. Or you're thinking that it should be better outside?
I don't know. That's my question. Like, what reads better?
Yeah, I think that one tells the story, like the way it's going, because if then it goes outside, then it's another thing outside. But now it's like a tree going down a chain.
All right, so submit button, old password filled in, new password information filled in, mismatch. Then we want to give it an error message. If they match, then we click on it. If the mutation resolves, then we do something. If the mutation rejects, then we do something else. What does it sound like?
Yep.
Okay. Git reset.
Wait, what does the match?
Yeah, I'm still listening.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. the match itself, maybe all the new. So the match itself stands for all the new confirmation, the new and the confirmation password matches.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, but if it's match on its own, then it's not descriptive enough. But maybe someone would, yeah, but it's okay.
So you would put this on in another scope?
No, it's fine there. I'm just saying the match itself, like describe match only.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't. Maybe it would be better if it had more wording, like describe. Yeah, yeah, and the other. Yeah, yeah, that's better.
On the other hand, we have repetition here. This is for the submit button. What are you watching?
Oh no, it's not me. Someone else. What? Yeah, didn't know you. Mm, mm, mm.
Maybe that's better.
Yeah, that's better.
So this is all about the submit button. New password and confirmation mismatch is disabled. Match is enabled. Clicked, sets loading. This is about the appearance of the submit button. And input fields filled in as a precondition. If I click on submit button, calls change password mutation, sets loading. We don't need that anymore. And if the mutation resolves, and it sets out the token with response, the mutation rejects, it's displaying the error message. Do you think that's enough?
Yeah. Maybe are we going to add the red, the color, the input class to red if the the confirmation password, if either the new password and the old password match, or if the new password and the confirmation doesn't match? Are we going to set the input field to red?
We can do that.
Yeah.
So where would I put this new password and confirmation mismatch?
Red.
Old password and like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they are not the same, doesn't really mean it's enabled, because old password and new password have to be the same.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling that if old password and new password mismatch, it doesn't mean it's enabled.
Yeah, and the old and new password needs to mismatch They don't need too much. Yeah.
That. So we have submit button, old password and new password match. Then it's disabled. New password and confirmation mismatch, disabled. Match, old password mismatch, enabled. Like that?
Yeah, that's better.
And you want to have something with colors too?
Yeah, so the input itself should have a red border.
Maybe you also want to display a warning. What about that?
Warning or red. Yeah. Yeah, a warning below. Yeah. A warning below the input should appear. Which is if it's for all the new password, the warning should be all the new password should not match. If it's new password and confirmation password, they don't match, then the warning should be all the new password should match.
I would say this is more or less how I would like it to be. Like this is all about the submit. If it's valid input, validation, or like the submit button enabled or not enabled, and if everything is valid, input fields filled in. Actually, not input field fills in. Input field is valid given input. Period. Let's call it validations instead of submit button disabled. I think I would leave it like that.
Yeah, it's okay like that.
And this. So what we are going to do is it renders, and we check how this is implemented. For example, on the modal spec renders. No. Interesting. It's green. I didn't expect that. Yeah, okay, so it's just rendering diff, and that's it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. So validations is disabled. Then I would say that expect wrapper, the property is set to disabled. So I can access VM disabled in order to get a property of the wrapper. And then I would, yeah, indeed, I would expect it to be true. And this is invalid because we said validations by default are invalid. And this should fail because there's no property. And I should remove the to-do. There we go, undefined. So what are we going next? We set a property. I don't know exactly how the syntax is, but here we have export default. Give it a name. And then we think you can say data. We just give it a name, say name and then data. And this will return disabled. True. There we go. Nice. On change path component. Well, let's say we will have this many times from now. Change password, implement disabled property. Cool. Now, what comes next? It renders, it's invalid. Old password and new password match. Okay, so then we have to give it a before each. And then we have to check out view test utils. That's what we use for testing the view components. You're still there, Joseph, right?
Yes, I am.
You're muting yourself, and sometimes it feels like as if you were talking to yourself. So if you would drop out, I would not really.
No. Oh, so even you don't know Mike joined us.
Oh, I didn't know. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Hi. We're currently testing view components.
Oh, nice.
Skills. So we have the input here. Okay, so I don't exactly know where this input would be.
It would be on the template.
Yeah, probably. Let's just input it in here.
Yeah.
It's saying invalid. It should say wrapper. So obviously it will not find an input now, so it should fail. Exactly how we want it. Now we do have our style guide, which has some convenience components.
Yeah, that's just use, and I like that a lot. Like you don't have to write any CSS; you just blaze through, because every component is created.
Yeah. So we can get the latest version of the style guide. Taking a long time. I don't know why. It's GitHub. What's going on? Definitely say Yanron Dev, which will build the style guide for us. And this also looks weird. It should render like a progress bar. Very strange. Very, very strange. There we have input. And a placeholder. And a label. Very nice. ID name, your name, placeholder name. So let's just copy paste that. Oh. Put it in there. I think we do have to import DS input somewhere, do we? Not sure.
That would be password. Oh, old password, yeah.
Ah. Okay.
We also insert that it's rendering three components with find all.
Yeah, expect to find
3 input fields. Find input. I think there's for jest, there's an assertion. Yes. Okay, so we don't have not a single input field here.
maybe the label should be
This would be the case where I would probably switch to the browser page to see it in action and see maybe this gives us some hints which we can use to go further. So it's in the settings, in security, and this is currently empty. We remove the empty and we import our, what is it called? I think just that. In general, we have to change the password from components, change password. Nice. Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, your old password, your new password, Kofa. Should we just, yeah, say new password and verify password or something?
Why does it not find the input fields? Right. Yeah, so we could, so we.
What does that DS mean in front?
DS is short for style guide. It's like the DS, I think what is DS? Design system, genau, exactly. Design system and input. And that's why we're also using DS input here. It's just the name of the tag. And the stub is something automatically generated by Vue test utils. And if we would have the component like modal spec like this, right? So we have disable modal as a component that we can actually import. Then we can also assert that the component is rendered, or that the wrapper contains this component.
Yeah.
We cannot import the components from the style guide just like that. The style guide components are, let's say, registered magically. But what we can do is we can say ds input stub, which is basically just the same thing.
What if you just do ds input? Is it going to use regex?
It's rendering, so this works, and this will not work. All right, I just turned on my light. Yes, it's not rendering. Can you give me, when it's 7 p.m., I have to switch to the RFM meeting. So it's currently 6 o'clock. Just tell me when it's ready, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so this test now works, expecting 3 input fields. What next? Old password, new password match. I would say, yeah, we have to compare the two properties somehow, right? Inputs. So how can we get the inputs? So there's view model text.
Yeah.
Okay.
And make sure to change the type, because the type of the input to password, because when you type, people are going to see.
Hey. Undefined. Very interesting. View DevTools.
Your dev tools is not configured. Yeah, now it's okay.
Nice. Old password,
Uh,
new password.
And also, I like how the default. Can you refresh the page? Yeah, I like how your old password starts off with like a default ... like it's already input. There is already something, and then now when you click inside, then you type your password. By the way,
I don't get that.
so when you come to security, it will have like a dummy old password there ...
Ah, you mean that it's confirmed? It's concealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay, obviously you cannot find this input field because we don't have input type text, but we do have input old password. And we also have, I would say we can basically concatenate it. We have new password. Okay, not some value, some secret. Ah, yeah, right. Okay, so what we have to do is now the subcomponents will not get rendered. So either we shallow mount it and we set the internal input. I wouldn't do that probably. This is the moment when I would use mounts instead of shallow mount. Because this will also render and mount the 3 subcomponents.
Yeah, the children. Shallow just renders the parent only.
And then we don't have to use ds input stop anymore, but just input, like because it's input fields get rendered. There we go. Invalid. And oh, actually, we should have put this here because this is where they match. Is invalid and it displays a warning. Yeah, there's another trick. So we want to translate a warning, right? And I know that I was checking the translated messages with a mock function. And we could do that. And somewhere I'm checking that translate. Exactly. So this is the calls of the $t translation method. And I can ask mock. And if I say calls, it will give me an array of arrays. And each item is the first argument and the second argument. In this case, report user.message should have been translated. So we can basically do the same thing here. Here they match, and it should display a warning. And we have our mocks, which has $t. And $t mock.calls give us this array, and this is the expected array, but we don't want to translate report user's message, but change password. Old warnings or validations. I think we can remove this here. So how shall we call it? Change password.validations and then what? Old and new match?
Yeah. Expect change password validation old and new. But
Old
here we are.
Match? Like that?
But if it matches, are we wait the old and new? Yeah.
There we go. It's empty, which makes sense because we're not translating anything in here. Hey, so how do we display a nice warning? This is a number. Table, no. Avatar, no. What is a copy field? Ah, that's that thing. Typography chip. That's this one. No. Code. Icon. Maybe there's the input itself has. It even has validations. Input sizes. Okay. But how can I valid? Do they have a form? Oh, yes, they have. Nice. Maybe we should use the form. Yes, form. E-model form data. Slot scope errors reset. Wow, this is going to be. So where are the errors? Nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I missed something. So let's use DS form for now. What is schema? Form schema. Form data. Form schema. Okay. So message is the validation error. Okay, this is getting very complicated for me now. I don't know how you feel, but form schema. Okay, let's keep it simple. Stupid, just add.
Yeah, I think is it because the style guides are making it complicated or it's a view? was if this was React. Yeah. But so this data function here acts like state for this component change password.
Yeah, seems so. We don't even need the diff anymore because everything is wrapped in DS form. Oh, that's how they do it, right? Template, form, template. Oh, wow. Okay, template, slot scope, reset, and template. Why do we need the additional template? Going the whole way down. DS select, DS import, DS space, button, 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 DS space. Okay. We don't have handle submit. So let's get methods handle and do nothing. What else? Form data. We do have form data. We have handle submit, which currently does nothing. And there's form schema. We have old password, new password, password confirmation. All of them are required. Form data. Now we have errors and we have reset. What is reset in here? Reset. Reset. Reset does nothing. I don't think we need reset.
The other one. Or maybe they were talking about resetting, like clearing the input.
Yeah,
We clear the input, but we don't.
Errors defined but never used. Maybe we remove that for now. So what's going on here? All password is not defined. Model name, model email, model gender, model. What's that? Okay, same thing as above, as before, sorry. So now I'm expecting it to display a warning somewhere. And I would like to understand how can show validation errors. I see certain validation errors now. So let's just inspect this form component and see. So errors is an object and it has keys and then this. Okay, so we could use, we say computed, and then we say errors, and then we say this form const old new, like that, this formula. Return new password. Create an empty object first. So I'm expecting to see errors on the new password input field. And I have lint errors.
By the way, every time I save, I've set my editor to change to use Prettier and to format things every time. But can we have? Yeah, and when we push our create a pull requests, is it possible if we can have a pre-commit script for running that ESLint fix?
If you want, you can, but for me, I don't like pre-commit hooks. I don't like to change the Git commit workflow on any of my projects. So, but if you want.
Oh, is it going to change the workflow? Oh, yeah, I thought before you commit, it's going to format the doc. Oh, yeah, it's going to change. Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
No. Now the errors is something. Okay, it doesn't work like that. Maybe we can okay, just have schema. Yeah, it doesn't cover the case that we have two fields that we want to validate. Like we want to cross-validate. To damn it. So just having errors and deriving it from this form that it doesn't work. I thought if we put it in here, we just pass it to DS form, then we can have our own custom errors, but it doesn't work like that. At least translate the E somehow. What does old pass does to the translation? Old password. Okay. Are spaces in IDs allowed? Does anyone know?
No, it's not easy. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Now I don't know how to solve this. Yeah, everything works great for the dummy case, but if you want to do something more specific, it's breaking. What does this change? Okay, there's settings. This is interesting. Settings apparently. Oh no, where the settings come from?
Like they're in the yeah.
Oh, okay. This is how we can do it. Okay, so the message key okay. Okay, so we have to change form schema and change the message of form schema. So we basically derive it from this form data, and we remove the the errors. No, this form schema. We just make this for now. And we say watch, and then it's form data. So now every time form data changes, we don't need that anymore. But it will not be called. You still follow me?
Yes. Sorry, I was muted. Yep.
Yeah, okay, so form data doesn't get called if we, during typing. So the message is just a way of translating the error message, but it's not, it doesn't allow us to change, like it doesn't allow us to trigger the validation. We have input. So I think we can say input validate, and then validate. Validate. Input submit. Form events, add input. Form slots, form props. How does this button knows the handle submit button should be called?
I think on enter or events. Doesn't it have events?
I mean, we do have the add submit here, but how does this button call the handle submit? I mean, we can copy paste it for now.
When you press enter, the form itself is going to call submit because it's a form.
Okay.
Yeah. So that on submit is bound. At submit is bound to the whole form itself. So anything.
No.
If you press enter, that's when you're going to trigger on submit or click
Now
the button. Even enter.
Yeah. If the validation is okay, now this is fair, but I don't understand why input doesn't get triggered. I think this is a bug in the style guide. So it says here, fires after user input. Fires on swap. Yeah, this is an error. It's not fired after user input. It's fired after submit. See it here. This does not fire validate. But now I see validate and submit. This is the problem with self-written CSS frameworks. They never work. And there we go. We have submit, and it's calling validate. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. That just doesn't work. This emit input. No. Emitting input on submit, and it's emitting input on reset.
That's annoying.
Okay, this is where the pair ribbing stops because I'm going to open another issue on the style guide. Style guide. Documentation or no. Yes, form input not emitted. The documentation clearly if the user inputs it should be input callback. Unfortunately, it's only calling. Unfortunately, input is called on submit and reset, but not user input. Yeah, I would say this is good enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe give a screenshot. Where are we? Yeah, I would say this is it for now. What I can offer is I would probably, how far did we get? Round one test components change password spec. 1 failing, 3 passed, fair enough. Yeah. So there's 1 failing test, displays a warning, and we say skip. We fixed the lint, and I would commit it and upload it and create a new branch and new work in progress pull request, okay?
Yeah.
Covered a bug in the development. Hold it. So I'm calling to app interactive. We stopped that is Catchulio. Is that your Catchulio 1, right?
Yeah.
Itself. to validate two fields based on if they have trying to cross-validate. And don't. Oh, how? Origin 212 change password. Push. So it's 7 p.m., which is perfectly timed for RFM meeting. I think I quickly grab some coffee and something to eat because I'm very hungry.
I'll see you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.